Hello, my name is John Rose. In this video, I'd like to take a closer look at raw food drama and how to avoid it. Not only will this help us avoid raw food drama, but it actually helps us avoid drama everywhere, because people are people, and the same things I'm going to discuss here to help create a good atmosphere for my YouTube channel and for other people to use on their message boards and for everybody around the world is to understand what causes conflict and what's the best way to avoid it, especially when we're in this type of a medium on the internet. And I've already talked about this in one of my other videos, Know Thyself. And in that video, I explained how we can use this personality test to understand our personality strengths better so that we'll be more willing to find and apply the knowledge we need. And this personality test is based on quantum physics, and everything is energy. Our personality is a form of consciousness, that's a form of radiation, so we can apply the laws of nature to our personality. And when we do that, what's interesting is that we have 4 main choices we can make in 3 main situations, and then 2 of those choices usually dominate in each one of those 3 situations, which then creates a total of 6 personality traits or 3 polar opposites. And this is where a lot of conflict comes into play. So that's one way we can have conflict with our personalities, with these 3 pairs of polar opposites. But then there are 4 main personality traits, and these 2 see things a little bit differently, and these 2 see things a little bit differently. And I'll explain all that in just a moment. So let me start at the beginning about this test. We have 4 main personality traits, and what this test will do is it will help keep track of our choices in life given these 3 main situations. When we're doing things that we like to do, when we're doing things we think and feel we should do, and when we're doing things that feel good. So in the first situation, when we're doing things we like to do, imagine as an adult, you're on the beach and you're playing in the sand. So that would be our like to graph, or what Freud would call our ego. And then that middle graph, where it's half intellect and half emotion, this is how we deal with authority. It's what we think and feel we should do. Now imagine you're in elementary school playing in a sandbox. And then the very bottom choice we make, that's our at-home behavior. So we had the ego, superego. Now we're looking at the id, according to Freud. This is purely intellectual or emotional. And this is what an infant would be doing, playing in a sandbox at home. So these 3 main personality choices that we make, or 3 circumstances, means that we might be an extrovert in one and introvert in another. So there's a reason why this can be confusing for a lot of us. So the reason why when we meet someone we really don't understand that they might be operating out that middle group or that middle mode, doing what we think and feel we should do, and we show each other similar graphs and we don't even know who that person is until we get to know them better. But when it comes to conflict, what's happening is every color has different rules. And if we look at the 4 main colors, the 4 main choices that we make, we can either act, talk, think, or analyze in these 3 different situations. So when people act, they do things quickly. When they talk, they do things friendly. When they think, they do things creatively. When they analyze, they do things carefully. And again, what usually happens is 2 of these traits will dominate in any one of these 3 situations. If you're red and yellow, you're acting and talking, you're an extrovert. The polar opposite of that would be the blues and the greens. You're thinking and analyzing. So you're an introvert. So we have polar opposites that are looking at the world totally different. They have a different set of rules. What's important to the red yellows is not what's important to the blue greens. In fact, it's just the opposite. So we all have different rules, and we get upset when other people don't obey our rules. Well, guess what? Most introverts can't understand what an extrovert's thinking or feeling, and vice versa. That's why this test is so valuable, because most of us understand ourselves pretty well, but to understand other people is the real trick here. Another pair of polar opposites would be the yellow blues or blue yellows and the red greens or green reds. And here we have a divergent personality, and here we have a convergent personality. When you have a divergent personality, your energy is going through a convex lens. Think of it like a planet. A planet, a round sphere. And your energy is inside of it, and you're going to go outside. What's the best way to illustrate this? You're going to become an outside, or you're inside the sphere. When you come outside, what does it do? It expands. It's divergent. That's a divergent personality. And the convergent personality is just the opposite. You guys are going through a concave lens, so take that sphere one more time, and when we have energy coming into the sphere, what happens is that there's a narrow focus of energy. And red-greens are better at doing certain things than blue-yellows are at doing things. The blue-yellows make good teachers, good managers. They like knowledge and they like to share it. The red-greens are really good at getting a job done, construction workers. They got the red physical energy and the green detail to do it right. In fact, some of your best tennis players will be high red-green because they have that ability to focus. And when you look at a sport like tennis, it's more mental than anything. When you look at the top players, you look at, they all have basically the same skills just about, but what separates the top players is that mental focus where they play the big points most importantly. Because in a long match, you might have 150 points each, but one person wins because of 1 or 2 points throughout the match. But I digress. Going back to conflict, we've got the divergence and the convergence. We've got a convex lens and a concave lens. Two different total focus, and they can butt heads. And then we have another pair of polar opposites. That's where we have the red-blues that are individualists and the yellow-greens that are conformists. And this is the other way where we can have conflict. The reds and blues, reds are physical energy, blues are mental energy. So reds look at blues and say, you lazy butt, why don't you get up off your ass and do something? And the blues are saying, hey, you might work hard, but I work smart. While you think I'm not doing anything, my brain is going 1,000 miles an hour. So my question to you is, why are you so thoughtless? Why aren't you thinking? Well, that's just the difference in the personalities, isn't it? Then we have yellow-greens that are conformist, and interestingly, they both conform, but for different reasons. Because when we look at the time factor, reds are in the now, yellows are in the future, greens are in the past. So that's why greens conform, because that's what's been done in the past. The yellows conform because they want to do things friendly. Let's all get along. Let's conform. And what's interesting is the yellow-greens will repel each other in the beginning, but in the long run, they'll get along because they're both conforming. In contrast, a very common attraction in the beginning for people are the red-blues, where physical energy doesn't have blue mental energy, and mental energy doesn't have the red energy sometimes, so they attract each other. But what initially attracts you will drive you crazy after a while, and that's why most people who marry, according to Nolan, the man who did this test, 80% of people who marry, their first marriage, they're this type of opposites that attract one another. The second marriage, 80% of the marriages, the people are more along the same personality. Because reds like to be the boss, they want to tell people what to do. Blues can't stand being told what to do. There's an attraction in the beginning. But then there's going to be that conflict. So what I want to do with this video is to help us understand how to have a good community here. How to respect one another's views, because another form of conflict occurs because 93% of communication is nonverbal. Now the great thing about this situation here is you guys get to see me in action. You can tell when you see a smile on my face, you can tell my sincerity. You know I mean well. And I know some of you don't understand what I know and you're going to think I'm the idiot. I understand all that. Not a problem. Go ahead and judge away, unsubscribe if that's what you think. If you want to cling to your false beliefs that you don't realize are false, then you're just not a trim tab, I guess. Because a trim tab is going to stay here no matter what. A trim tab is going to realize their brains are bombarded with bullshit and they've got to sit down before fact like a little child. And the first thing we have to do is go upstream and get reconnected. And this is what most of us have never done. So I want my channel to be successful. I want you guys to keep doing what you're doing. In fact, I'm convinced that it's the Jews fasting YouTubers that are going to save humanity and save this planet. I already know that. I've already thought about it. Long before YouTube, I thought, God, if I could just get dozens of writers that have a big fan base and get them to write a book about how Jews fasting saved their life, it can wake up the planet. Well, we're doing it right now. We got the vegetable police doing it. You should be on day 5 today. Sharing what he's going through. I'm telling you, this is an exciting experience. We all need to do this. You don't have to be a YouTuber, a present YouTuber with no subscribers. Do this. put it up on YouTube. And for you guys that have millions of subscribers, you guys can wake up the planet. We can do this so quick. Within 1 year, we can look back at this and go, oh my God, look where we were a year ago. We hadn't reached the tipping point and we were living in hell. Now that we reached the tipping point, we realize what we got to do. We got to feed the world what they're supposed to eat. And we can't change everything overnight. So we have to realize that once we reach the tipping point, our energy is going to be going toward one thing only. And that is to make this world a better place to live. So if you really care about animals, if you don't want to see animal abuse, if you care about children, you don't want to see child abuse. Chemotherapy is worse than anything else you can do to a child. Is sexual abuse bad? Is verbal abuse bad? You bet it is. Why do you think I'm so motivated? Because I understand why those events happen. Got to go back to the first cause. A lot of you guys don't know that yet. I do. Why? How? Because I've coached thousands of people. I've seen the transformation that people go through. And guess what? We're getting ready to show the world. You guys get out there and get them. Do this. Put it on YouTube. Contact everyone you know. Pester the hell out of everybody who's got millions of people subscribing to them. Get them to do it. I've already seen it done before, but the people didn't do it right and it wasn't that favorable. And we're going to see a lot of people not do well on this. Maybe 10% of people are going to have problems. We need to see that too, to help us realize that there's a lot to the art of healing or solving problems. When we're damaged, we just can't correct the main mistakes, and that's what the juice fast does. A solid food vacation corrects 5 big main dietary mistakes. That doesn't mean we're going to sleep and eat, or sleep and exercise and get sunshine and do all the other things we need, and that's just our essential needs. We've got damage to deal with. And remember, if our body's damaged, we have to support it. And then of all the damage control we need, the main thing we have to do, and this is why I keep coming back to this, is we got to take away the absolute tool of control, which is money. That's why it's one of the most important lessons we have to add to the raw vegan message. Most of you guys don't get it, but we have to, because the money's used to control everything. The money's used to brainwash us. We don't have accurate knowledge. History is going to repeat itself if we don't have accurate knowledge. There are lessons to be learned. And the most important lesson that we need to learn from the wars last century is only one thing. We live on an abundant planet. Germany and Japan proved that to the world. They've been demonized. Who cares about the details? I don't care about the details. It's not important. Only one thing important about this story. We live on an abundant planet. Can't trust your belief system. You got too many references that make you think you already know. And let's not get distracted in the details. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is we're sick and disconnected, and money's being used as the absolute tool of control. We got to take back that tool of control so they can't control us so easily. But the ultimate solution is to get reconnected. That's why we're out of control and easily controlled. So the ultimate solution is go upstream, do a solid food vacation, get on YouTube, and you don't even have to do it now. Just start videotaping every day. And you may decide at the end of this journey, I want to show it now. I didn't like the way I looked in the beginning, but look at me now. You see what I'm saying, my friends? Journal this as much as you can. Reach out to people you know who can help us get this message out. I've thought about this too many times, and I know we're on the verge of waking up. All it takes is for more YouTubers to do this and show their fan base what's going on. We see what's happening already. People are commenting on my message board. I got 5 people doing it. I've gone over to the Vegetable Police's YouTube channel, and everybody said, I want to do it, I want to do it. I know what can happen. This is an exciting time to live. You are part of this history. And think about it. No, you don't want to accept the official story of anything. We now know, because we're living now, not to accept the official story of 9/11. And yet we accept the official story of this and those other things that happened last century. And it doesn't matter about the details. Let's not bicker about that. There's only one lesson that needs to be learned. We live on an abundant planet. The people who rule the world want us to believe in scarcity. That's why this money that's the biggest thing we have to do downstream. In the Fed, in the Fed, in the Fed. This is what Yusuf Mullins was all about. Yusuf Mullins was the grandfather to this movement. He's the one that did all the research that everyone else uses to say, look what's happening. What are they doing to us? And I could go on and on about this and explain more pieces that connect, but we don't need to be distracted. And I've already deviated too much in the last few videos to try to bring home a point, and that is we can't trust our belief system. And that we are the heroes. We're the enemy, but we're also the heroes. We've got sick people controlling everything. They've tricked us. We've been bamboozled. And there's a simple solution to overcome all of that. The first thing we have to learn is how to avoid the ultimate tool of control, medicine. You have more power to reverse what you got than any medicine can ever do. Ever. Why? Because most of what we got is because of what we do. Change what you do. So when you change what you do, you don't get the same thing anymore. The only problem is we can change what we do overnight and remove those primary causes, but we can't change what we got overnight. And this is where the art comes into play. I've gone over this many times. This is where we have to respect the fact that we have another set of anatomical limitations based on damage we've done to ourselves and our environment. We might not be making B12. We might not be getting enough sunshine and vitamin D. We might be getting too much omega-6 and we're not making DHA. We might not be getting taurine. We might not be getting cholesterol, beta-glucan. There are a host of level 2 nutrients which our body may not be making that now some of us need. So our ideal diet doesn't supply all of our nutritional needs for everybody. It does for a lot of us, but some of us are damaged, and we have to be aware of that. And so what we're going to see when people are doing a juice cleanse is we're going to see some people struggling. Why is that? Because they're damaged. A very common complaint, they're not supporting their organs of elimination well enough, or the organs of elimination aren't up to the task. So we always change as fast as our body allows us. If we do the juice fast and it doesn't work because our adrenals are down and our kidneys aren't filthy, we stop the juice fast. It's not time. We change as fast as our body will allow us. Most of us can do the juice fast. But if your kidneys aren't up to the task, then neither is your kidneys, and you're going to struggle. So if you're struggling, you got to ask yourself, am I doing everything I need to do? Am I drinking enough juice? Am I supporting my organs of elimination? Am I having a bowel movement every day? My God, I'm having dozens of them. Well, that's what happens to about half of y'all when you do this. In the beginning, the floodgates open up, you have a lot of diarrhea. If it continues too long, you could do some psyllium to bulk it up so it won't be inconvenient. But for most of us, it doesn't last that long, and it slowly starts to thicken up, usually within 3 or 4 days. Some a little bit longer. Next thing you know, things are coming out, it has definitions and grooves. Where's this coming from? Exactly, where is it coming from? We got a big, long food tube. We're cleaning the entire food tube out. And once we clean that out, it then becomes a fontanel or an alternative channel of elimination where a lot of garbage can be dumped into the system. So a lot of things we can do to support the organs of elimination. I explained those in my juice feasting video. And that's the first of my 3-step process. And you go down below in the description box and do that and go to that seminar. But first, I highly recommend that you go to the Dr. Roba interview and listen to this man when he was on day 21 of a juice diet. And he was being interviewed by these 2 women. Great testimonial. And I was on the Deborah Duncan show. You can see women getting rid of varicose veins and bunions and all sorts of improvements in energy, performance, and everything else. And I guarantee you, my friends, our whole species is on the verge of waking up. And then we'll be in for a treat for sure.